day. Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's get into it. I was going to bring y'all some content earlier this week, but unfortunately, when your body needs sleep, your body is going to overrule you. And I wanted to bring y'all some content, but my body was like, oh, hell no. You are going to lay your butt down because you got work, okay? You're going to lay your butt down so you can be somewhat rested for work, okay? So yeah, right? I know, right? Anyway, let me just say this. Blowing a 6-point lead with 18 seconds left is one thing in 1995. But when you blow a 14-point lead, with about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, let me tell you something. Knicks fans were having flashbacks to 1995. I'm not talking about this generation of Knicks fans. I'm talking about old head Knicks fans. Y'all were having flashbacks to 1995, okay? Okay? Especially when Halliburton gave the choke sign, right? The only thing, the thing about it is though, the game went into overtime, right? Pacers won, but the thing about it was when Reggie Miller gave the choke sign to Spike Lee, he gave the choke sign to Spike Lee. Then as he was giving the choke sign to Spike Lee, Reggie Miller reached down and grabbed his, Reggie Miller reached out and grabbed his nuts. Reggie Miller went like, then he reached down and grabbed his nuts while he was looking at Spike Lee, okay? So Reggie Miller was saying, you all choked these nuts, okay? I guess that's what Reggie Miller was saying back in 1994, right? Anyway, let's get into it. So I don't think any team in the NBA history has had more of a sad history than the Los Angeles Clippers, right? That's the saddest franchise in the NBA. I'm sorry. The Clippers are the saddest franchise in the history of the NBA. Maybe y'all have maybe y'all have a franchise out there who is even worse, but to me, the Los Angeles Clippers are the saddest franchise in the history of the NBA, okay? So, I was reading the book, The Curse, the chaotic and colorful history of the LA Clippers, and it has some stories in there that I dropped my mouth and just laughed at. Okay, they had stories in that book that. Okay, so case in point. Okay, Ron Harper. All right, so Clippers drafted the Ferry 1. He refuses to play for them. He goes off to play in Italy for the 1989-90 season. Okay. And so they make a trade early in the season with Cleveland for Ron Harper, right? And that trade came about because there was a guy by the name of Horace Ballmer. Okay, a guy by the name of Horace Ballmer. I don't know if he's still the head of NBA security or not to this day, but back in 89-90, Horace Ballmer was director of NBA security, right? And he had told the Cavaliers owner Wayne Embry, he suspected that Ron Harper was hanging around some shady people. Okay. He suspected that Harper was hanging around some shady people who were involved in drugs or whatnot. And the Cavs had received this troubling report. But and they received a few more reports from Horace Ballmer about the guys Ron Harper was hanging with. And so eventually, the Cavaliers, Lenny Wilkins and Wayne Embry, they didn't think Ron Harper was a bad guy. Okay. But the owner of the Cavaliers, Gordon Gunn, obviously heard these allegations and said, no, get him out. Okay. Get him out. And the Cavaliers didn't want to part with Harper. Lenny Wilkins didn't want to part with Ron Harper. Obviously, Wayne Embry didn't want to part with Ron Harper. But Gordon Gunn did. Okay. And so the 89-90 season had just started. And the Bulls played the Cavaliers in the season opener of the 1990 season. Jordan scored 54 points. The Bulls won, of course, right? They won it overtime, right? But Ron Harper had also had a pretty good game too. He had 36 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. So he went head-to-head with Jordan on opening night. Jordan, of course, had 54 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. Okay. And so Bulls win in overtime. He's with the Cavaliers for a few more games, Ron Harper is. Then he's traded to Cleveland. Said Cleveland. He's traded to the Clippers for Danny Ferry and Reggie Williams. Okay. So Lenny Wilkins came into practice the next day, and Steve Kerr, Craig Elo recalled that Wilkins' face just looked drained because they had just traded their best player, Ron Harper, next to as probably the best player on the team, and Ron Harper, who probably was their best player. Mark Price is probably the second best player, but anyway. So he got traded to Los Angeles Clippers, and Ron Harper had a certain reaction when he was traded to the Clippers, right? The day Ron Harper learned he was traded to the Clippers, Ron Harper just had 2 words. I'm dead. Right? That's what he said when he joined the Clippers. He said, I'm dead. Yeah, how right Ron Harper was. Because look at that roster they had. Andy Manning was ascending, okay. They just acquired Harper. I know they had the general, Gary Grant, okay. But outside of that, who else did they really have? Ken Orman, Ken Bannister, Jeff. Charles Smith. Yeah, Charles Smith. Oh man, how could I forget about Charles Smith, right? But Harper knew the history of that franchise. Okay, you had guys like Benoit Benjamin, who was lazy. Then you had people like Ken Bannister, Jeff Martin, David Rivers. Okay, those guys. So the Clippers played the Bulls after Harper got there, and Ron Harper actually did well. He scored 36 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. MJ only had 26, and believe it or not, the Clippers blew the doors off the Bulls that game at Memorial Sports Coliseum, at LA Memorial Sports Coliseum. So the Clippers, that was a home game for the Clippers, okay? And they blew the doors off the Bulls that game, believe it or not. So Harper was performing well. He was named Player of the Week, Okay, but I read somewhere where Derek Smith, rest in peace. Derek Smith used to play for the Clippers. He had won Player of the Week. Okay, he had won Player of the Week, and then he suffered a season-ending knee injury. Okay, so the Clippers were playing the Hornets at home, and Ron Harper went up for a shot. Came down, hurt his knee. Out for not only out for the year, not only out for 89-90, but he missed half of the season in 1990-91. Okay, that's how bad he injured his knee. Woo. Yeah, yeah, that's how bad he injured his knee. But he came back, played well, and I remember when he left the Clippers and signed with the Bulls as a free agent in 1994. I'm pretty sure that's a decision that Ron Harper does not regret one iota. Okay? Believe me, that's a decision that Ron Harper does not regret. Speaking of that, speaking of not regretting, Mark Jackson, okay, came to the Clippers in a trade with the Knicks that bought Charles Smith to the Knicks, okay? It was Charles Smith and Bo Kimball to the Knicks for Kiki Van Handaway and Mark Jackson, okay? So Mark Jackson played 2 years there, and he signed with the Pacers for the 94-95 season. And the Pacers came back and when the Pacers came back, I believe this is when the Clippers were losing their first 17 games of 1995. Mark Jackson was quoted as saying, "I'm blessed to be out of here." Okay. That's what Jackson's quote. "I'm blessed to be out of here." And again, what did I say? Is there a more sorry franchise in the history of the NBA than the LA Clippers? Right? So the 1995 draft, okay. Clippers were picking high, and they had drafted Antonio McDyess, right? Bill Fitch was the coach at the time. And the Clippers had just drafted Antonio McDyess, and Bill Fitch liked the selection. Okay, he liked it. But then the Clippers, being the Clippers at that time, they traded the draft rights they traded McDyess's draft rights along with Randy Woods, Elmore Spencer to the Denver Nuggets for Brent Barry, Brian Williams, and Rodney Rogers. Okay. And so, needless to say, the Clippers only won 27 games that year in 1996. Okay. So, yeah. When you have players like Ron Harper making comments like, "I'm dead," after being traded to the Clippers, when you have Mark Jackson saying, "I'm blessed to be out of here," what does that tell you about the Clippers as a franchise? Especially in the 1990s, okay? And I'm just going to stop right there, okay? I'm going to stop right there, okay? So, No. I'm gonna come back to that another time. I'm gonna stop right there, y'all. Anyway, that's it. That's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am out of here, y'all. Peace out. God bless you all.